to be honest.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. To be honest, where it all started 35 years ago, was that I have loved sports. I always played sports, played everything I get my hands on. And then I ended up playing. I had a coach one time that said, if you want to walk, play golf. And I was like, oh, but I haven't tried golf either. Let me try that. And so I golfed, and then I was like, whoa, going from soccer and volleyball and everything else, all these activities to golf. I'm like, ooh, I got to get in shape, right? And so I hit the gym, and I was like, what is this whole arena? And it was a playground for me. So that's kind of where I started when I was 16 years old, and I fell in love with the industry. I've trained from the beginning athlete to the Olympian and everyone in between, and just have a passion for helping people move their body. And as we got into, I got introduced to LifeVantage almost 14 years ago now, and really, really thought that these products could help my clients, and they dramatically helped my clients. And so I thought, wow, this is something we have to share with the world. And in saying that, I really now believe as we kind of move into this next era of us at our age, we have to do things differently, and everything is evolving, and the science is evolving, and especially in women's health, we've seen a total change because we do go through changes. And I am 53 years old, and I went through a crazy 10-year crazy change. But now I feel like I feel better than I've ever felt. And I kind of came out on the other end, and I'm like, I just want to share my wisdom, if I have some here to share with other people. And here we are. So have a passion.
I don't know where to start with you because your story is so impactful. I mean, I'd asked you too, when you talked to me, you had like these five core things that you said, these are the things that women need to really narrow down in. But you also, I know through your journey, what would you, because let's be honest, like a lot of people are attracted to mind body right away. And women just, I think their immediate attraction is, I just want to lose weight. I just want to lose weight. And they don't know what the in between looks like, or they're not willing to face that. They just want to jump from one end to the other side of the building, but not build the bridge in between. And the
Mhm.
bridge is what we need to get to the other side. So I guess in saying that, like what have been some of the most impactful things you've learned on your journey? And yeah, what should we be doing?
Well, you're speaking my language, Tanya, because I have always been an all or nothing person until recently. And I had to learn, instead of the 1 or 10, I had to learn the 2 through 9. And we can't operate on the 1 or 10 anymore, especially as we get older. If we want to have vitality and mobility and feel good, we have to look at the 2 through 9. And so there are 5 pillars, and I had to learn these. I kind of feel like I'm the N of one experiment because just a very, very, very quick story. I've been in fitness my whole life. I've done sports myself. I've been a triathlete and trained triathletes, and my body shut off. It was 10 years ago now. My body totally shut off, where my body was like, no more, can't do this. And exercise was my drug. So when I couldn't have that drug anymore because my body did not work, and when I say did not work, I could pick up 5 pound weights, and it was like those cartoons. They would throw, fall through the floor. And I'm like, what is going on? And did my last half Ironman in Kona, and hit the medical tent afterwards. I told my husband, pick out a name. I'm in labor. My stomach completely shunted, and I was like, this is crazy. But I was obviously closer to menopause than I was childbearing age. And so I ended up saying, you know what? We've got to figure this out. I went to go teach my classes. I've taught fitness for years and years. Fell on my face, almost broke my nose, and my body was like, no more. And I was like, oh, okay, I have to figure this out. Had the shakes for 2.5 years. I had functional doctors. I went to every different type of doctor to try to figure it out. And everyone just kept saying, like, well, you're fine, just, maybe slow it down. And that's not what I wanted to hear. And that's certainly not what we all just to hear. Oh, you're just getting older, and this is what it looks like. Right. And I even got to the point where I was so freaked out. I had a brain scan at the Amen clinics. And what they came back and said, well, you pretty much should be hospitalized, unable to feed yourself. And I'm like, what? Completely depressed. And I'm like, this is crazy. And Dr. Amen himself looked at it and he came out and introduced himself in the waiting room and came back in when they called me in and said, you know what, she should be in a coma, but she's in the waiting room. That's why he introduced himself. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, come to find out, they said it looked like PTSD. And I'm like, you're crazy. I've skipped down a yellow brick road. You're nuts. And so COVID hit, best thing that ever happened to me personally, because I had to stop everything and had to dig in and go inward. And what I found was this, you're right, Tanya, people really want the magic pill. They want the magic one thing that's going to make everything better. But our bodies are brilliant. They're brilliant. All the systems working together. If you just think for one moment, what it takes to even see with your vision, and that you have to have an optic nerve and a lens and everything that goes into that. And our bodies are brilliant. So I have really come down to, there are about 5 things, and I want to go into mind body, how it all interconnects with all this also in a minute. But number one, and these are no particular order. And okay, no particular order, because you can't have one without the other. But sleep. We know the power of sleep. Today, I'm not going to get into that, but that is definitely a pillar. And if everything else here isn't working out, we don't sleep. So it's a big giant circle, right? But sleep is king. It is most important. That's when we rest, we repair, our body can recover. Okay. Then, metabolic health, which includes fasting and feasting. Okay, so glucose, fasting, feasting, food, all of that that's intertwined in metabolic health. We'll come back to that. The next is stress. And stress come in all different form. It comes in mental stress, physical stress. You could be super busy at work and you're under a lot of stress. Or you could have a problem say no and you're a people pleaser. Guess what happens? You're stressed. Okay. So that is a huge factor, because the nervous system runs everything that I'm going to talk about next. The next pillar is hormones. And our hormones fit into, especially at our age, fit into absolutely everything. If there's one thing I can say about hormones, you cannot strong arm cortisol. You cannot strong arm it. It rules the roost. It is the king of all the hormones when it comes to either weight loss or stress or you name it. And if those hormones aren't kicking and working along with all these other things, there's no magic pill. It's going to happen. It's going to work. And then exercise. And exercise, there's a way now that we know, back in the day, I don't know about you, Tanya, but grew up in the, that good old like step aerobic era. Yes. I taught so many of those classes and they were fun. And I mean, we could go cardio for days. And that is, we have to look at it differently. The science is out on exercise physiology that looks totally differently. So yeah, so if I sleep, stress, metabolic health, exercise, and hormones, really, those are all the pillars is what we can go into.
Awesome. 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 Okay. So let's go into it. Let's start with metabolic health. I think sleep speaks for itself. So
yes. Okay. Metabolic health. You know me, I like analogies. And so I am going to talk a little bit in analogies right now. And this is literally elementary. Okay.
Thank you.
Elementary. Metabolic health. When you eat food, it is energy. That's what gives us the energy, and it gives us our cells to energize and to move. And like most of America is metabolically unhealthy, unfortunately. I actually wear a glucose monitor. And so I can look at what's happening when you physically eat the food and what happens to your hormones and to your glucose in your body after you eat it. Changed my life. But this is what I want to say. It's very simple analogy here. And I would say very elementary, if you will. When you eat the food, it's like someone arriving to the airport. And that person says, hey, I got to call an Uber. I got to go get dropped off, right? So they call in an Uber who is sitting at the holding tank, which is the pancreas, and the Ubers are insulin. And the Uber comes shooting out, let's go pick up the person from the airport. And they say, where would you like to go? And the person says, oh, take me to the brain, take me to the muscles, take me to, take me to all the different organs. Sure enough, go drop it off. And then on an empty stomach, you eat sugar. So, and when I say sugar, I'm talking like, let's go, it could be a Sour Patch Kid sugar, okay? Or it could be a piece of bread, okay? It reacts very, very similarly. And on an empty stomach, and the airport gets flooded with people. And they say, let's go, all Ubers on deck, everybody out, go, 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 go. So all the insulin's getting shot out to go transport the glucose, right? And they're like, I don't care where you have to go. We are slammed today. We have to take you to the holding tank. We'll come back for you later. And the holding tank is fat.
You know how many people I've told that analogy to since you shared it with me? It's the greatest analogy ever. Just saying.
Right. So if this is the piece of sugar, you might as well just pack it on an empty stomach. Just go ahead and put it on your waist. I mean, in the same form, right? It's crazy. And that is what happens. So, and there are a lot more things happening in there. That's just the elementary version of it. And so, I mean, there are all sorts of hormones that, why do we eat it in the first place? That's how we're like, that's where mind body comes in a lot for this metabolic health. But food is so important. And this is, I mean, it's huge for this, right? So anyways, that's kind of my metabolic health, that we have to pay attention to what we're eating, when we're eating it, and what it does in the body. And people have no idea. Tanya, I think I've showed you this before, but I was fasting and I knew. Yes. So I knew, do you want to see the picture of it too?
Yes, show them. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I was fasting. I was in a fast and I knew I was going to break the fast with something that was not going to be the best thing for me. And it was a piece of sweet bread. Okay. So it had a little sugar in the bread. So I thought to myself, well, I mean, how bad could it be? I have a glucose monitor on, so I want to see what it will do. Right. So I was like, okay, let's check this out. So I ate the piece of bread and this is what it looked like on the jump. If you can see, it spiked. Do you see that pink spike?
Yep.
So it spiked. And I thought, okay, and movement will usually bring a spike down, right? Because the muscles are now absorbing some of that glucose. Okay, fine. But this is what people don't realize, what told the story the next day. So the very next day, eating normal, no sugar, eating a very healthy diet, this is what it looked like. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't get it right. I'll spike, I'll come down. I'll spike, I'll come down. I'll spike, I'll come down. I just can't figure it out. And that was happening for 24 hours after that. And every time you're spiking, you're pushing more glucose into the system. And if it's not getting used, it's going into storage, which is fat. Right? So, oh, go ahead.
Well, you said the workaround for that is like eat protein first if you're going to do that, correct? Like the other day I was at Bible study and someone brought like she's a stewardess and she always brings sweet treats from around the world and they're amazing. And my girlfriend, Tess Bolthouse, before she had the sweet treat, I saw her get out of her fridge some protein and she ate that first before she ate the sweet treat.
Yes. Yeah, so there are some workarounds. Listen, I'm not here to say never have sugar again in your life, right? Because I don't like everything in moderation either. That's not a fan. I'm not a fan of that term. But what I'm saying is that it's not realistic for us not to eat anything and enjoy, something that's sweet. But not just protein first, but also, and it really does work, is apple cider vinegar. If you take a shot of apple cider vinegar before, it actually neutralizes and you won't have as high of a spike. But oh my gosh. Yeah, I am thinking of all sorts of different scenarios, but yes, make sure to have protein and fiber, especially if you have protein and fiber. So very, very simply this, I went to a great place, a great dinner place called Gianna's around here. It's beautiful. I love it. I knew I would like, okay, I want to go test out. I'm going to eat just what I want to eat there. I had some apple cider vinegar first, went to the restaurant. I ordered olives because there's some fat in the olives. Yes. Then I had meatballs. We had an appetizer of some meatballs, protein. Then we had some salads, which were fiber. Then I had a piece of pizza and I had some pasta. And then after that, there was a little, it was called a bundino. It was like a butterscotch pudding with a little whipped cream on it, very real small. And it was beautiful. Had that, no spike at all the whole entire time. It was the order. It was the order that I ate everything. Right. So it does matter with that. Okay. So that is metabolic health is huge. I mean, we could have a whole Zoom just on metabolic health. And I know we have to kind of move towards other things, but it's huge is that the order that you eat things. And as we get older, we have to have more fiber. So fiber is essential. So if we even think about for a second, the mind body system is very, very high in fiber. That's what keeps you feeling fuller longer. Right. So that a lot of times with the fiber, we just don't eat as much fiber as we need it at all. So, where are you getting fiber? Are you eating that? That goes back to an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's high fiber, right? So it is all about that fiber. So in mind body, that fiber is essential to help to slow the digestion. And think about fiber like this. It's like a little sweep, and it sweeps through and it helps to sweep all the intestines and sweep everything out. That's what fiber does, right? Instead of just going right through you, it kind of sweeps everything and cleans everying out. So
I like
that's
that.
fiber.
That's a
Yeah.
good visual.
Yeah, just sweeping everything through. Yes, yes, yes. And so yeah, so that is, I guess you can go to metabolic health, right? Inside metabolic health, though, this is what I want to touch on. So now, because this is a big topic here, there's a time for food, which is feasting, which we were just talking about. And then there's a time for fasting. And as we get older, as women especially, I really believe we do have to intermittent fast. And I cringe when I say this sometimes because I think, oh my gosh, people are thinking, I just have to have no food for days and days. No, it doesn't have to look like that. Okay. But there are so many different systems in the body that get cleaned out when you do fast. And when you do it intermittently, right? Not all the time. When you do it like that, it does clean the system out. It helps your gut microbiome and it helps that. And when your gut is fixed, then all those hormones can kick in and do really well on, so, but again, there's a fasting time and then a feasting time. And if we're always in a fasted state and we're not eating enough in the feast state, then we're going to slow our metabolism down. Right. So yes, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. And because of mind body and the way that it was working for me and then wasn't, but I've always stayed on MB core. It was the powder that was giving me trouble for a little bit. But what it did is it really made me go, what am I not doing on my part? And where do I need to go deeper and why my body can't process it? And what else do I need to be doing here? And then that opened the gate to like talking to you and talking to other people. And I realized I thought I was eating well. I thought I was eating enough. And when I did the Dutch test, she was like, you've just been in a state of ketosis for such a long time because your body is in fight or flight because you're not giving it enough energy to survive.
Mm-hmm. So think about it, that's a stress. That's a stressor to the body. Taking too long, right? Too much for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a point where it's good stress for the body. And then if it's too much for too long, then it turns to bad stress.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there it is. Yes, there it is. And really, when it comes to fasting, there are so many resources to really look at really good fasting. And I really do recommend Dr. Mindy Pelz, Pelz. You can go and check out on YouTube, and she's on Instagram. She's great. She talks about intermittent fasting, and it's brilliant. I mean, it really kind of resets like your gut And we can go, there are many different things we can do. All I want to say is this, is that don't just go into a fast. You really have to research how to do it correctly, because when you go into a fast, you need high protein before you go into one. All right. So the high protein first. And then when you're in one, you absolutely have to drink electrolytes, right? And salt. You make your water so salty that you're tasting the ocean. But
Mhm.
you need those electrolytes to keep going in there. So fasting is super important, but that, as women at our age, can really kickstart weight loss. But we don't want to take it over to the other side, right? Too much.
I feel like it's been helping me a ton. I've been very cognizant to not eat after 7 p.m. and
Mm.
then going for sure, because I know Dr. Bickman has says this too. He's an insulin metabolic scientist, and he says, 12 hours at least.
Mhm.
Stop at 7 and go 12 hours at least. And I've been doing that, and I tell you, I really truly believe it's resetting my gut.
Yes, yes, because we don't need that much food. I mean, just take us back, right? I mean, take us back. We didn't have the access to food that we have right now. And, back in our day, back in the 80s, back in the step aerobics and the fat-free era
Yeah.
of eat fat-free bagels with fat-free cream cheese, whatever that was, crazy. But all of that, and then we ate, little small meals all day, every day. Think about, your body cannot use all of that, right? It just keeps getting sent food, 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 and then it's got to store it. It's got to store it. It's got to store it. You have to work your way through all of that glucose. Love Dr. Bickman too. Hmm.
Yes. When I was in college, I remember I was a dual athlete, volleyball, softball, and I'll never forget this moment. I was on a bike, just biking along in the weight room all by myself. And one of the grad assistants comes in and she's like, Tanya, she goes, "You're always here, but you just look so tired." And in that moment, it did nothing stuck with me. She didn't tell me what I should be doing. She didn't correct me. Like I literally was just eating enough to just get by and then thinking I could just work out, work out, work out, and never feeling good in my own skin. And no one ever took the time to teach me otherwise.
We didn't know, Tanya. I think that the science wasn't out there, right? This was back in was it Kate Moss days, where everybody wanted to look really thin, and everyone, it's like, just don't eat. Well, 100% of anorexics are obese. Think about that for a statement for a minute, right? Because what starts to happen is the organs get fat around them, visceral fat, to save the organs, right?
Mhm.
So it's very, very scary in that way. But the thing is, you can eat nothing and you can lose weight, but you will lose bone, you will lose muscle, you'll lose that lean mass as well. So we don't want that as we get older. We want movement. We want to be strong and healthy, right? So there is that time for fasting, and then there's feasting. You have to have enough calories to give your body the energy. You're going to go drive your car and you're going to go on a road trip. You got to fill it up with gas, right? You have to fill it up with gas. It doesn't have gas, doesn't have oil, it doesn't have anything. It's not going to work very well. In fact, it's not going to work at all at one point, right? If
Yeah.
there's no fuel in the tank. So you definitely have to do that. And we could go a little bit more on that, but it's staying at metabolic health. I'm still going to stay in here and I'm going to go one other direction. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is seed oils. And
Yes.
everybody goes, oh yeah, I don't cook with seed oils. And I'm like, whoa, let me get you started on this. Seed oils, because now we're still on metabolic health. We're still on the food topic. They're in absolutely everything. They're very, very cheap. They're highly processed, they're toxic, and they are in everything. So we know they're at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Maybe this group isn't eating there. But if you go to Trader Joe's, where a lot of us will shop, or you go into Costco and we think that we're getting something healthy like hummus. You can walk in and buy hummus. Look on the back. There's a seed oil there. If you go into Whole Foods and you look at the olive bar, you think these are olives. It should have olive oil. The olive bar, and I was doing this. I love olives. I was doing this. I'm half Greek. I mean, I'm eating olives all the time. And it was like, what is going on? I'm so inflamed. All of the olive bar has seed oils, canola, sunflower, right? And it's because all olive oil will coagulate. It won't look pretty if they're right. And they have to keep them cool. They don't have to, but for people's mindset, they keep them cool. I had a conversation with the lady at Whole Foods. I'm like, why are we putting seed oils in the olives here? And she's like, it's because of aesthetics, because people like to see it cold and they like to see it, very I want, what was it, runny? I don't want to say runny, but they don't want to see coagulated fat on the olives. Okay. And and at room temperature, it'll loosen up. But so you go to Whole Foods and you get olive seed oils. There is any packaged anything, seed oils, seed oils, seed oils, and they are highly inflammatory. Highly inflammatory. So when inflammation is up, your body is not going to work its best at all. So just be aware of everything, not just what you're cooking with. I think a lot of people understand somewhat seed oil, so they're not cooking with them. They're not buying vegetable oil, right? They're not buying, canola oil, but they're buying olive oil, avocado oil. But even those can't be heated at certain levels either, or they oxidize. So we need to be cooking with butter. I love butter. Do you love butter? It's great. Butter, butter, tallow, coconut oil. So those will withstand high heat. But when you go out, bring your own salad dressing. I bring my own salad dressing.
Mm.
I just do. So, and I have it and boom, it's super simple. I mean, it will save you a lot of brain fog, let me tell you. Right? But that's where, you ever go to eat and the next day you're like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't even drink, but I have like brain fog and I have puffy. My rings aren't fitting. Oh, it must be the salt. That is not the salt. That is the seed oil. Yes.
Wow. So
So,
good. Oh my
ugh.
God.
Okay. So I've metabolic health. We could go on there, but I think we probably need to move on to the next level, right?
Good.
Stress.
Rest.
Stress. You know what? Oh gosh, where do I start with
I
stress?
know, right?
It's kind of become one of my favorite topics, actually. Because we look at stress as bad, but there are some hormetic stresses that are very good, right? We just talked about it. Intermittent fasting is a hormetic stress. But stress comes in many different forms. And we need a little stress. We do for our bodies. I mean, our bodies have this brilliant nervous system that is meant to, there's a tiger, let me run,
Mm.
right? Or I'm totally relax and rest and digest. It's so brilliant. But stress comes in many different forms. So physical stress, if anybody has small kids, I mean, how crazy was it when, I mean, I have three that are young adults now, but when they were little, it was on the go constantly, go, 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 go. And that was stress, right? There was that stress continuously, get them where they need to go to all the different sporting events and on and on. And that is a different kind of stress. It's there, but there's another stress that I really truly believe women our age suffer from more than anything, and it's mental stress.
Mm.
They don't even know that they're stressed. They're like, no, like they're fine. I mean, I skipped down a yellow brick road. I'm totally fine. I don't understand anxiety. I don't have any anxiety, but I had a sweating problem. But I wasn't the one that had anxiety. I mean, it is crazy. And when we suppress emotions, if we don't deal with our emotions, it takes on crazy stress in our body. And that stress as a hormone is cortisol, right? It's what goes and it just goes, come on, we got to run, we got to go, we have to survive, fight or flight, and it takes off, right? And there is no way you're going to lose weight, feel good, because you can't sleep either. I mean, there's so many factors when it comes to it. So mental stress, I believe, is so crazy that has to be dealt with. And it's good. It's a good thing to be dealt with, right? So I'm a huge proponent of therapy, huge, 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 huge. And really also really understanding how to, if you're a people pleaser, if you can't say no, if you don't have any boundaries, I mean, this is crazy stress in the body. If you have any suppressed emotions, right? All of it.
Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. I have a friend whose husband just got laid off from his job. And in this following week from his layoff, he lost 10 pounds like that.
Wow.
Total stress. total stress. It was just insane. And he didn't know. Like he's just going on the hamster wheel, taking care of things, knowing that he's overworking. But it wasn't until it was taken away from him that he was like, "Whoa."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, remember when you got married? I mean, I think this happens to every bride. It's like you have your last fitting with your dress and you're just like, oh my gosh, it fits perfect. I'm so excited. And then you go on the day before the wedding or the day of the wedding, you're like, it's too big. Have you ever,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the stress of everything you just like, you didn't eat or whatever happened, right? But it can also go the opposite. And I really believe at people at our age, because of hormonal changes, the stress actually packs on the weight. So have you ever seen, okay, actual fat around the stomach, maybe sometimes in the front of the arms, and it looks a little bubble wrapish, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've had it, and that is cortisol. That is fat, or I should say stressful fat. Okay. So different fat looks differently, right? But that is straight from cortisol. So a lot of the, and why? Why is it around the stomach? It's there to protect the organs.
Mm.
That's why it's there, right? If we have a stress that comes up and we have a tiger chasing after us in any way, figuratively, whatever, right? It's there. The body just wants to survive. That's it. It wants to survive. So it's going to protect its most precious spot, which is all the organs, right? So that's where that visceral fat comes in too, right? It's going to start protecting organs. And that's where you start gaining through the center, right? So a lot of that stress, especially mental stress, that's where it is. But also, if we go from there to exercise, exercise is a stress as well.
Mm.
Think about it. Exercise is a stress. Now, you could take it too far. Again, too much for too long, and we have a bad stress. Or we have to stress the body to even move our body to create a muscle,
Yeah.
right? So if we go to exercise, the next one, if you get on the ground to do push-ups and you go, okay, I'm going to do 4 push-ups. And you're on your toes, right? You're going to do these 4 push-ups is great. And every day you're like, I'm just going to do 4 push-ups. And the body's like, okay, I gave you the muscle for 4 push-ups. Go for it. And every day you do your 4 push-ups. Your body doesn't have to give you any more muscle to do the 5th push-up if you've never asked for it, right? It's just wants to survive. So why would it give you more muscle for the 5th push-up if you've never done a 5th push-up? Right? So same thing it goes for like pull-ups. You ever try to do a pull-up and you're just like what is that? Right? And pull-ups are very, very telling because it's like if you can't pull your body weight up at least once, that's something definitely to work on. But in saying that, why is your body going to give you muscle to do that? People go, well, I can't even do one. Have you tried? Do you try every day? Do you ask for the muscle? Right? That's what exercise is. So it's a stressor to the body to say, I need to make this movement over and over again. I'm asking for the muscle. And it goes, okay, she's going to do it again. Oh, I better give her some more muscle. I mean, that's kind of elementary, but that's what exercise is, right? So it's a good stressor to the body. And exercising, since we're at this topic now, oh man, back in the day, I mean, this is an emotional topic for me because, I'd work out 5 hours a day. I only took in 25 years, 3 days off. And
Wow.
those 3 days were the days I had my children. I thought there were a day off. Not a day off. Not a day off. Right. So I know about exercise, but that was my drug. It was my drug. Right. But so can you do too much of it? Yes. Most people, they're not getting close to it. Right? They're not getting close. As we get older, we need to work out differently than when we did. Your daughters, my sons, they can do crazy workouts and they can recover very quickly. right? They have different hormones going in their body. As we get older, we have to do it differently. And this is what it looks like. Strength training is king. Strength training, you've got to put on muscle. Go to any skilled nursing in this country and see how important strength training is. And it's so unfortunate that one of the biggest killers in this country is from falling.
Yeah.
Right? It's from falling. And it's usually not because they fall and break a bone, it's the bone breaks and then they fall. Right?
Mhm.
So people don't realize that. But in strength training, you build muscle so you can move, mobility. But then when you put that pressure on for that muscle, it's actually pulling at the joints and you feel it sometimes in the joints and all that. That's it's supposed to. And you actually build bone density that way as well.
Mm.
Right? Again, why is the body going to go, let me give her some more bone density? If she's just sitting on the couch, we don't need bone density.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But if you do a jump or if you do something, you're like, oh, muscles and bones are like, oh, so it goes for not just strength training for mobility, but also for bone density. So that's huge. You can actually, people say, oh, just, you're lowering your bone density is going down. So make sure you take some calcium. Calcium, okay, that's fine. No, 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 no. You got to ask your body for the bone density, just like you have to ask your body for the muscle.
Good.
Right?
Mhm.
So that's huge. So strength training, and when I say strength training, I don't mean the little pink weights. I do say this, if someone is just beginning, your body weight is perfectly fine to use. And it should be just your body weight when you start, because you have to learn how to move your body. But you have to take it to what's called progressive overload. And what that is what I explained about the push-ups. If you could only do 4, try the 5th. And then you go, oh, and all of a sudden, a week later, you're like, oh, I can do 5, no problem. Try the 6th. That's progressive overload. You got to keep progressing the load on the body. Okay, that's strength training. And then movement, walking, zone 2, walking. Right? I think that I have a walking pad right here. I get on right after I eat at dinner. I hop on this little walking pad, or I'll take the dog out for a walk now that the time changed. But you got to move your body, and the good old 10,000 steps. You really need to move your 10,000 steps. And think about this. It makes sense. When our kids were young, and maybe some people do have young kids, if you look on your Apple, phone, it'll show you your little pedometer there, how many steps you've taken. I probably, when I was younger with the kids, when they were young and taking them all the places and running around, my step count was easily 18,000 to 20,000 a day, I'm sure. Right. And then I realized one day, I was like, I don't move as much as I did. I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. And I looked on my pedometer just on my phone. I'm like, I averaged, get this, 3,000 steps a day for the year. And I was like, oh, no, 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 that got to change now, right? You've got to move. So walking, zone 2 walking for especially women our age is with strength training, excellent. And then flexibility. Flexibility it's everything, right? The muscle, when you work the muscle, it tears. It tears. So here's a muscle, and you did a bunch of bicep curls and it tore. And then when it recovers, it grows back together stronger. That's what a muscle is, right? So it's here, right? You just tore it and it goes, whoop, recovery, bigger, tear it again, bigger. That's what it looks like. But the flexibility, the strength comes in the flexibility of the muscle. If you keep shortening and shortening and shortening and shortening the muscle by working and working and working it, right? You're flexing, 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 but you're never extending it. It's not going to have the flexibility, number one. And then you have injuries involved and you have all sorts of things. So flexibility, strength training, get your step count up, walking, flexibility. And there's one more. I think, and I don't quote me on this, but it's something like after the age of 30, only 10% of the people, 10% or less, will ever sprint again in their whole lives.
Mm.
It's like, what? And so once a week, not, it is HIIT training, but it's very, very specialized HIIT training. So once a week, take any activity you like. It could be a swim. It could be a sprint. I don't know how many people are going out to a track and sprinting, but you can sprint if you want. It could be on a bike. It could be rope.
Yeah.
It could be ropes. It could be, I mean, there are all different things you can do, right? But one day a week, and this is 20 minutes or less. Okay. It's very, very short. You do just as hard sprint that you could do for 30 seconds or less. Sometimes I can't. I mean, my sprint, so I do it in the pool. And my sprint to get to the other side of the pool is at 16 seconds. So, and then I wait 45 seconds again, right? So it's as hard as you can, and then let your heart rate recover. Okay. So it's a good 30 seconds to 45 seconds. And then all out again 4 times. And you're like, that's it? Yes, that's it. Then you take about a 2-minute break, let your heart rate come all the way down. You could totally have a full conversation like we're having, and then you do 4 more, and that's it. And then you're done. No more of that. That's it. But just once a week, because those muscles have to, like, that's the fast twitch, right? That's the fast twitch in there. But if it exceeds, it won't exceed, but if it exceeded 20 minutes, you've done too much.
Mm.
It really isn't. I mean, what is that? 8 minutes total, 8, 9, 10 minutes total? It's 10 minutes total. Right?
Yeah.
So once a week, so that's exercise. And then the last one, which they all go together. And in fact, I don't know. I don't mean to keep talking here, Tanya. Please ask me any.
No, I just want to say real quick, like when you said that you said our bodies just want to keep us alive. I mean, maybe I'd heard it before, but it hit me when you said it, and I found that I'd given my body more grace in knowing that like it's not fighting against me. It doesn't hate me. It's just doing what it knows how to do in this moment, in this season, to help me survive and function the best that I can. And it's my job then to help it do that optimally, right? And then I remember too getting that membership at Orange Theory, and not to knock that if anyone's doing it, but I had this feeling, and I text Cherise, you guys, and I'm like, should I be, as a woman that's post-menopause, be doing Orange Theory? And she was like, honestly, no, it's not. It's that going to give my body more stress. Like I need to be building muscle. So I got a $30 membership at a gym down the road. And Cherise said, one day go and intuitively do push exercises, one day do pull exercises. And I've been doing that, and I'm feeling so much stronger. And I always do, they call the old man test, get down on the floor and get back up and do it without any help. And my husband, sometimes I joke about this, but he'll come down, he's ready for bed, and I'm like, get on the floor. Let me see what you got. Because I'm like, what are you doing when you're watching TV? Are you getting up, getting down? Like, are you just sitting? So I put it in his head too. If you were to fall, you're going to have to get yourself up because I'm not going to be able to do it. You're big. So yeah, just
Yes.
important stuff.
Yes. Well, think about this too, Tanya. You made me think of something. Well, body is always just there to survive. So you have to give it grace and just say, like, be curious. Like, why am I putting weight around my center of the body? Why is that happening? Well, it's protective. It's protecting the organs,
Mm.
right? So, but why is it protecting the organs, right? Get curious about all of that.
Yep.
But really, when you're starting out, like I've forever, when I've trained someone, the first thing I have them do is a walking lunge. I want to see where their balance is. And most people cannot do, even athletes, they go into a walking lunge and they sometimes fall over. And it's like, oh, okay, we're starting there, right? A walking lunge. If you do a walking lunge, that's balance, that's core, right? Of course, it's strength that kicks in. It's mobility through your hips and knees, right? So it's like if that's where you start, that's where you start. But have
Mhm.
grace for all of it when you're doing it. Listen to your body. Listen. And this is the other thing on exercise. If you every single Monday, this is what you do, and then on Tuesday, this is what you do. No, 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 no. Hold on. If you've done 3 days in a row and you're just tired, listen to your body. Like, do not go do that. Just stretch it out and listen to what it's trying to tell you. It's got to recover,
Mm.
right? And people are like, okay, that's great. I'll just go for another 5 days in recovery. No, no, no.
Right.
because because I will say this much. So it takes okay, 3 days. When you work out, you get a training effect, is what it's called. You're going to get results from that. It takes 3 days to lose the training effect from this day. So if you work
Oh,
out here and if you work out on Monday and now you're not working out until Friday again, you've lost your training effect from Monday.
wow. Wow.
No,
That's short.
it's short. Now, we're not talking about elite athletes that just did an Ironman and they need to recover for 3 weeks. That's totally different. But for the average Joe, that's why sometimes people go, I don't see any results. Well, how often are you working that set of muscles?
Mm.
Once a week, you won't see a difference.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, and then on to hormones.
Easy
Oh,
topic.
oh, baby, we need a whole other thing for hormones.
Yeah.
Who is the ruler of this world? You know what? I've just totally believed you can't strong arm a hormone, whether you are a 16-year-old boy or a 50-year-old woman. Right?
Sadly, yeah.
It's just they rule the roost, right? So hormones, I will say, to just give a disclaimer, this is my opinion. I am not a doctor. Please go to your doctor and listen to whatever your doctor says. This is just my opinion and what's worked for me. I do have a functional doctor that I adore and that just is a phenomenal resource for me when it comes to hormones. And then I personally take that to my OB as well. And that my OB and my functional doctor are like, it's seamless. So that's what I found worked for me. But I just believe as we get older, some people will choose not to have hormone replacement, and that's fine. And some people will choose to have it, right? And either way, you just have to make sure that you listen. As we get older, we weren't supposed to live this long. Women were after menopause, that's it. I mean, lifespan of women were like, it was like 50 or something crazy, way back in the day. Now we're living longer and we don't have those hormones. So what happens? Think about this. The moment we start going through perimenopause, anybody feel like this where you're like, I just have brain fog and I can't remember what I used to remember. And oh, it's just getting older. And it's like, no, that's a lack of estrogen. That's definitely a lack of estrogen. So just know that hormones, they've got to get in line. They've got to get in line. And I know you and I talked about like even, I mean, I don't know who's online here, but vaginal estrogen, and there's progesterone, estradiol, testosterone. Women a lot of times go, well, no, that's testosterone is the male hormone. It's a female hormone also. We have that as well, and we need that hormone, for sex drive, for muscle building, for many different things, right? So that is super important to take a look at and really dig into this topic of hormones because sometimes there's nothing you're going to be able to do, especially if that cortisol's up. That's why the Dutch test, go to someone with it. I will say I'm a huge advocate for that Dutch test. It shows not just a snippet in time, but it actually shows all throughout the day of where your hormones are, where your cortisol is, all of it. So huge. And I don't know if you want to ask anything specific on hormones, but they've got to, and there are many different hormone. I'm sorry, I just asked you that and then I kept talking, but there are many different hormone disruptors. You know what I'm saying? So toxins. So that's why that nerve
Yeah,
too.
I went. after I talked to you, I made an appointment right away to my OB. And there's just a lot out there, after the Dutch test, after I did it, and I love that so much more too, because as Cherise was saying, like blood work is a snippet in time. The Dutch test does it over a series. But after sending that in, I found that I had very low estrogen and I'm functioning great. I feel great, but I can tell something's off. And that's why I wanted to do the test. And she first, because I told her, I'm like, even when I had knee surgery on my meniscus and I was given medication, I didn't take it. Like I have never been on medication in my life. And so when I think about hormone replacement, I freak out a little bit. And she started me on maca root. And I'm realizing again, I want to go from 1 to 10. That's not how it's going to happen. So I have to be patient. It's only been like 2 weeks. That's my first step. I've heard about yam cream. I've heard, then of course about getting estrogen, whether vaginally or a patch. And my OB went through all of this with me. She's so open minded. And she knows, she's like, I'm not a cookie cutter here. I'm not going to cookie cut anything for anyone. But if we take estrogen, we have to have it with progesterone, is what she said. That's, I know, a big, big piece of it. So I don't know. We'll see how long this goes. I know that I probably have to give it, the 90 days to see how it works for me. But yeah, you just want to get to the other side so quickly. And my OB was telling me too about a woman in New York that is a very highly respected doctor in this field, in the women's field. And she herself, for the longest time, was fighting against taking anything, had never taken medications. And everybody around her was like, suck it up, like, help yourself, take it. And so she finally, I think, decided to do the patch. And it just helped her so, so much. So yeah, we
Yes.
can't be, and if we don't pay attention, we don't do something now. The one thing she stressed over and over is get ahead of it. Because if you wait, you're leading yourself up for osteoporosis, blood clots. I don't know what she called it, but that's the one thing she even said to me. She goes, I would almost rather women get breast cancer because we're so far ahead and we can treat it well rather than this diagnosis of the blood clotting because you get that and it can take your life instantly. And she's
Wow.
like, you want to fight against that. And so the sooner you get ahead of it with helping yourself with your estrogen hormone levels, the better.
And from my understanding is that 10 years post menopause, you cannot do it. That's where it becomes
Oh.
very dangerous. So if you haven't done anything within 10 years, then it becomes dangerous. But from my research personally, and I am on hormone replacement, it's changed my life. So I personally chose that, and it's helped so, so, so much. You know, but you know what? I also had a doctor that told me this, and she was right. I had so much stress in my life, and there was so much going on when I was just trying to work through all this stuff, that literally she said, if you put hormones on right now, it's like a person coming, a pizza delivery guy delivering pizzas to a house that is so full of pizzas, and you're shutting every window. I don't want any more pizza. Stop, 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 stop. Because the hormones can't even do their job. Everything is so out of whack.
Mhm.
Right? So we have to get into that space of letting the body calm down, letting the body really go into a parasympathetic state also, and
Mm.
really all of that in place before we even jump on it. I know somebody mentioned, I just saw that pellets. I personally am not an advocate of those. I've just seen, just with many of my friends, if it's the wrong dose, you can't turn it backwards. You have to wait for 3 months until it filters out of your body. So I'm not a big fan of that personally. But um, I
That's
personally,
exactly what my OB said. She's
yeah.
not for them either because she said once you do it, like it's really hard to, you can't reverse it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have to wait for it to filter and metabolize through the body in 3 months. So anyways, but that is something I definitely suggest people to look into. Like I said, I am not scared of hormone replacement. I feel like it's like the fountain of youth for me. Now I have other friends that chose not to do it,
Mm.
and and they're going on their path too. So it's just, I want to say this. Don't think that that's the magic pill either. that everyone is going to go on to hormones and you're going to get skinny and rich. Right? That's what everybody wants. That's not what it is. It's everything in together. And that's why I do want to say to Tanya is that that's what's so beautiful about this company, LifeVantage, is that we have so many different products to help activate the body instead of just supplement the body. So, the one thing I didn't touch on in here is toxins and the body, having oxidative stress. If we have a product that reduces oxidative stress by 40% in the first 30 days, and that's huge, turning on the NRF2 pathway, turning on the NRF1 pathway, NAD, all these beautiful products, collagen, everything that we have here is about activating your body's ability to turn on what it needs to survive. Right. And that's what's so beautiful about this company is that the science is backed here on the products. The science says, we're here not to just supplement and add, pizza onto a house that's already has too much pizza. It's about activating your body to do what it needs to do. And that's the beauty, because we definitely need to be taking these activators.
When I went into her office, she's like, any other symptoms that you've like ever felt? And I'm like, no. I go, I don't even know. I can't say what perimenopause felt like. I can't say. I'm like, all I know is I suddenly stopped having my period and it's been over a year since. I'm like, I really breezed into it. And she's like, I literally just told one of my patients that I hardly ever see women that have an okay time with it. And I'm like, I was activated for 12 years. Like when I started it, I just believe fully that that played a huge part in this for me. And look, when I take our activators too, it never discolors my urine. Like my body's getting it. And then I go do the Dutch test and they want to throw more supplements on me. And all of a sudden I've got like bright yellow urine and I'm like, ugh, like I'm not even absorbing this stuff. This isn't even any good. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's real.
Exactly. It is. It is. We've seen huge results with all of the activators, and that's the science behind it, right? And the company is just so strong because of it. So I am a huge believer in that. But really, I mean, just to kind of overview, I mean, my gosh, from sleep to metabolic health to stress, exercise, hormones, toxins, it all works together. I think the body is so brilliant. If you just go into gratitude one day, take 5 minutes and think about all the different systems in your body that have to work together in order for us to just move through the day. It's fascinating what it does, and that it's here to help us and work with us, not against us. And that's the beauty, is like just be in gratitude for your body. I mean, whew, it's amazing what it can do.
Oh, thank you so much, Cherise. I'm so grateful for your time. This was so good. So
Oh, thank you for having me.
absolutely. Let me end the live video and then stop recording.